Alright, so I'm in the commander's position of the Stug. His seat is currently in the lowest position though, so that's why I'm a little low. He's got a medium and a high position, but I just went with the low position because it gives me room to look around here. So yeah, so directly to his front he has the binocular periscope for looking through the commander's hatch. Gives him good visibility there. It's magnified unlike these periscopes around him. So he has, looks like he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 periscopes that can possibly be mounted here. The one in the front is missing because he's got the binocular periscope right here. To his left he would have a FU2 radio. Command tanks would have an FU7 as well. That would be mounted right over here. Oil can for the machine guns, linkages for the driver. The recoil guard is right here. You can see he's got his MP40 behind him, along with some other magazines. They would often put grenades up on the wall. This would be a bracket for some potato masher style grenades. But yeah, his cupola, it's actually really not that bad. His visibility is pretty good. He's got periscopes adjust in elevation. They got lines in the middle of them for about where the center of each sight should go. But you know, overall his visibility is pretty good. You know, if he wants to stick his head up, he can. But yeah, all right. I think that's about it for the commander's position. Let's get on to the gunner. All right, so here I am in the gunner's position of the Stug. You can see directly to his front he has his primary sight. It's a periscopic sight, goes up through the roof. I think there's by 2.5 magnification on here, so pretty good. He's got his different elevations for indirect fire right here. This is a knob for his indirect fire if he wants to calculate the angle there. Bunch of different other indirect fire mechanisms up here. Different shells, you push this down for different shells, gives you the different ranges right here. Directly to his front, this is his elevation control. It seems to be frozen in place, but this would be his elevation wheel and his traverse wheel. Right here, this works. Left and right, nice and smooth. Not too bad. Other things, his intercom right there. There's a light right here. This is the intercom actual box right here. This would be where the radio for the intercom is. The seat is actually very comfortable. It's a nice backrest, folding backrest, so he can get in without a problem. The gun, the recoil guard right here. The manufacturer right here. Yep, other stamping marks, but overall, this is actually pretty comfortable. It kind of stinks that he doesn't have his own hatch, but given the comfortableness, the comfort level in here, I would say that's quite forgivable. Yeah, so he has a trigger on his manual trigger on his traverse handle. That's his means to fire the gun. It's just a simple squeeze trigger. But yeah, pretty comfortable overall. Nice headrest right here over the sight. Commander's right behind him. Commander has plenty of room behind him, even with the seat back up. But all right, let's go on to the driver's position. So this is the driver's position of the Panzer III. So I'm not going to get in there because there's really no good camera spots in there. But you can see to his front, he's got a nice seat with a backrest, a folding backrest. He's got an ammo can right there. To his left, he's got his 2 steering tillers right there in the middle. His clutch, his brake, and his gas right there underneath the final drive. And underneath the transmission, he's got the actual transmission there to his right, with the gear selector right there. Regular standard gear shift. You can actually see one of the torsion bars that go under the floor. That's that black rod that goes under the floor there. So that's the torsion bar for the suspension. You can see his instrument panel over there. He's got the revs in the middle of the tachometer. He's got the speedometer there on the right of that. Bunch of old-fashioned fuses, oil pressure. He's got a azimuth indicator for the gun. Not that that would be incredibly useful in a tank destroyer, but still. His intercom system right over there to the right. But yeah, overall, very comfortable driver's position. He's got plenty of headroom, neck pad on the actual sight, the window that he can see through. It's a direct vision periscope. Armored shutter on there. So yeah, that's the driver's position. Overall, very roomy. Alright, so I right now am in the loader's position of the Stug 3G, and well, he has this entire right side of the vehicle to himself. So obviously the 75mm ammunition is not small. It is quite large, but he has a rack of 16 or 12, I'm sorry, to his front in the lower hull where the hull machine gunner would be, and then up top here in the upper casemate he's got another 8 readily available. There would also be some under the floor here in the panels. Again, you would have the option for the FU2 radio or the FU7 on this side. Gas mask canister. This would be, they have a bunch of spare barrels because he has, on the Stug 3Gs, his 2-part opening hatch. You can see behind him he has the MP40 and the MP40 ammunition magazines. And on the 2-piece hatch of the Stug 3G, they have installed the machine gun shield. So he has an MG34 to play with right here in a mount right there, flex mount for shooting at infantry. So he'll have various amounts of MG34 ammo around him. He's got some other personal items up here. This is a light so that he can see. You've got the ventilator fan right here. So the Stug 3Gs, they have the intake is right here, and the fan is actually at the back. That's how you can tell a G from an F, because the fan on the G is on the back wall of the casemate. Breech operating handle right here on the side of the gun. He's got a indicator on the recoil guard of how far the gun is going back. The gun is marked 1943 of production, so normally there would be a bag that would hang down right here in the middle to catch any of the spent shells, self-ejecting. Overall, he's got a lot of room to work in here. He's missing a seat on this vehicle, but normally his seat would mount about right here, right about the top of the hull, so he could keep his head out if he wanted to. But let's see here. It's not bad. He's got a lot of room. It's a very workable tank, if I do say so myself. So that's about it for the inside. Let's go to the outside. So I'm about to shamelessly steal this from the Chieftain and show you how the track is tensioned on this tank. So front wheel drive, idlers at the back here, and as you can see, one sec, I have a light. As you can see, here is the nut that we'll use to tension the track. So basically it works just like almost any other tank you've seen. It has a locking collar on the back right there, and then you basically just take a big wrench and crank it in or out depending on the track links that you're either taking out or putting in. So while we're also at the back here, I'd like to show the dual exhaust. So you have one for this side, one on the other side. Again, just like most German tanks throughout the whole war, manual start. So this is the cover for the manual starter. Air intake covers, radiator covers there on the top. You can see all the boxes and spare track and spare road wheels that are on the top there. Stug's had a great capability of being able to put things on the backs of them because they didn't have to worry about things like spinning turrets or anything. So they could just pile as much stuff on there as they wanted without having to worry about having to spin the turret. I mean, of course it would be a pain if you had to replace the engine or do any maintenance because you had to take it all off to get to the hatches, but still, you could carry a lot of extra gear and equipment on there. See all the Pioneer tools you have, marker lights, stoplight, and then the smaller convoy light. There's a similar one on the front. Again, the jack, you have the air intakes, track block right here, and then you can see one of the mounting arms for the Scherzen side plates. The Scherzen were developed to stop the 14.5mm Russian anti-tank rifles, one of which is right over there. Torsion bar suspension, you can see the road wheels down there, 6 per side. It's a dead giveaway as to whether or not you're looking at Panzer III or Panzer IV. Look at the number of road wheels. You can see on the front here, we've come around, the boxy style gun mantlet right there with the squared off plates on the side. KWK Stug 40, and you can see the extra bolt-on armor. So the Stugs originally left the factory with 50 millimeters of armor. That's that plate right there in the back, and then as you can see, they welded on, or bolted on rather, an additional 30 millimeters of armor on top of that to give a total of 80 millimeters of frontal armor. Obviously down here, hull front and the two plates right here, and well, the transmission cover, but that's not really that important to be 80 millimeters of armor. But these two were left alone just to save weight on the tank and not kill its mobility. This right here, this is one of the rounds. It's a Panzergranat 39. Quite a beefy round, so you can imagine trying to manhandle that in that space. It's not an absurdly large round, but it is nonetheless pretty large compared to a 37 or the short 75 rounds that they were using previously. So yeah, that is the Stug 3G, and I hope you enjoyed it.